let's say you sell, $10,000 a month service of some sort, right? You do some high-level video stuff, and you have like 7 corporate clients, right? And they all pay you $10,000 a month. So you're making $70,000 a month. If all of a sudden 2 projects end and you go to $50,000 a month, by percentage, you just had a massive, dip. And like, if you were running quote 20% margins, you would be under $7,000 a month. So like 20 is 14 off 70, right? And so like you would be losing $7,000 a month working full time, right? And that's also what people don't appreciate like about business owners later is they're like, how are they making so much money? It's like because there was a period of years where they would work 80 hours a week and then lose money. And so like that's one thing. I remember actually I had it's kind of a there's a two-pronged moral of the story. So early days when I had the gym or the gyms, my trainers at one of the locations kind of came together and had like an intervention with me. And they were like, we all want raises. And so, mind you, the gym at that time wasn't making a ton of money. And it was really because I just wasn't there. They were like, we're running this thing, not him. And that was also because I rewarded no one for anything. And so I didn't know how to lead, I didn't know how to manage, all that kind of stuff. And so anyways, they like all confront me together. And I could tell that they had like practiced this talk and like all this shit. But I was not to be trifled with in this particular moment. And so I was like, you guys know how this works, right? I was like, let me explain what happened. I was like, so last month, I was like, you guys all worked, right? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, and you guys got paychecks, correct? I was like, so there was a year where I did that. I was like, but rather than get a paycheck, I didn't get one. And then my just personal bank account went down. I was like, you guys see the difference? I was like, what that is risk that you guys never took. And I was like, so I'm being compensated for risk that you did not take. Now, I did not say that in a very nice way, but fundamentally, I was like, your bank account, if you show up to work, cannot go down. It literally only goes up. You get paid no matter what. You come here, you get paid, as long as I am a legal business owner who pays bills, right? I was like, you have no chance. I was like, there are periods where I work really hard and then I don't get paid and I'm thrilled because my bank account didn't go down. The TLDR of that was that they decided that it made sense that the business wasn't in a position to give raises at that point.
That checks out.
Yeah. And you know what? As a business owner, that's tough. You know what I mean? Like, most business owners want to pay people more. Especially, you know what? The amount of times I've talked to small business owners, self-included, that are like, man, I just want to be able to pay my team more. Because, like, they also appreciate that their team shows up and helps them create their vision and all these things. It's like, they wish they could. But there's also, the big thing is the big V word, is volatility. Let's say there's a year of income in a business, especially small business. And let's say it does that $1 million in profit, for example. $1 million in profit. If you look at the financials, because we look at them all day of different companies, the amount of months where it's negative, not even positive, is, 4 months a year, the bank account goes down. And so even though at the end of the year, the employees might look at the financials and say like, hey, we made 20% margins on 5 million, so we made $1 million in profit on 5. This is what it feels like as the entrepreneur. $5 million a year in top line revenue means you're doing 400-ish a month, $400,000 a month-ish. And you're making 100 of that, or what, not even 80, right, of that 400 in revenue is your profit. So think about how easy it is to just go from 400 to like 320 1 month. It's like no profit, boom, just like that. And then you're like, oh, this month we did 340. It's like that's $20,000 on $340,000 of revenue. Meaning, and this is where this was a huge realization for me early on, because I started making more money and I was like, I'm making more money, but I don't feel better. And it was because, let's say I make $80,000 3 months in a row for my $1 million run rate. Okay. Well, the thing is that next month, I still have $320,000 of cost before I make my first dollar of profit. And so even though I made 80, my savings, if no money comes in this month, I still can't keep the lights on. And so like this is where the margin piece, like people who aren't in the game don't get, is that you really, it takes a very long time to feel secure financially as an entrepreneur. And usually you don't feel that way unless either you've been in business for a really long time or you have some very large exit at some point, because you can look back at your bank account and say, okay, all of the costs that are coming in this month, I can pay out of my bank account for the next 6 months. Most people cannot do that, because if you have a 10 or 20% margin, well, a 10% margin means 9 months of costs, of profit, of costs come in every month. And so like you make your 10% and people are like, man, he's making money. It's like, but the entrepreneur's just like, if I don't make enough this month, I lose 9 months. Like let's make $0 come in next month. I still have 90% of those cost liabilities of payroll and rent and inventory and the other shit that is just coming out of my bank account. And so they don't feel secure. And also that's again, when the boys are like, we all need a raise. It's like, well, if I move that watermark, the amount that I can skim off the top in the occurrence of a bad month, it's like, okay, would everybody here like to have a 10% pay raise, but in 3 months when the bank account goes under, the whole business is done? Well, no, right. And so it's balancing short and long term.